22nd, FOMC day, and this is a short in the euro US dollar. You can see it triggered in right here, and right now up 60 pips. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to close a portion of this trade. I'm going to sell half of it just to bank some profit on this. The stop was 25 pips was the stop on this trade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell out half my position, and let me just do that now, and just take that. I did that, sold out that, and that leaves 57 more pips going. So we scaled out some right here, and just keep on letting it ride down as far as it's going to go. I'm looking for this area right here. Whether or not get down here is a totally different thing. But now that I've closed off some of this position, let me just see what we're looking at here. You know, this is the daily chart. Price had rallied up nicely into this area right here. You see this little pin bar right here. So I was looking for a short up in this area, and certainly showed up. And this trade has been on the books for a little while, since yesterday morning. This little area right here is another area right above it. But I prefer this area much more. I marked off this area too, but this is the area I was looking to go short at. So, you know, took out half. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the stop actually to break even. That way I'm not going to lose anything on this trade whatsoever. So let me just move that to break even here. Stop loss 44.38. Let's take a couple of pips out of that just in case. So let's go 34 with the stop on this trade. So bottom line, this trade is going to be cost absolutely nothing, and still going to make some money on this trade. If we run into more areas down here, looking at this area, could run into some difficulties around the 43.35 area. And if the price gets down that area, then we'll take some action there. So we took off a portion right here. And reasoning why, you can clearly see why, you know, price in this area right here was resisting, broke through, came back, tested it once, tested it twice. Now it's come down for its third test, and you would think by now maybe a lot of the buyers have been absorbed already by this by the move. And you know, quite frankly, you know, we did have a buy up to here, a pullback, another buy in this area as well. So we'll just see if the buyers are exhausted, and if they are, expecting a move down to this area right here, 43.38, and depending how far it comes down, you know, this area right here as well. Right now my exit's around 41.89. It's actually at 41.89. Yeah, so we'll see how it all plays out, and we'll come back. All right, just checking back in here for my euro US dollar trade, and this area I marked off earlier has now come down that area. So I'm going to close off another portion of this trade, and let's get rid of that. There we go. Sold some units there, and now we're just going to let the rest of the trade go. And you know, if we get some basing here, and then we get a drop down, I'm going to move my stop down a little bit further. Just right now, there's really no structure to put my stop around, so it is at break even plus a few. So you know, I've closed off partial positions already, and let me just take a look here. So the first positions were closed down at one was closed at 43.81, and this position was down at 43.45. And if you remember, I marked off this area, and reason being is this resistance area has turned to support a few times. We'll just see what's going to happen now. My ultimate target's down here, and you know, we've banked some pretty decent profits on this trade. So we'll just let her fly, and you know, come back later and see what's occurred. So I just need some basing in this area, and then a drop down would be nice. So need a few more hours at least, and if I get that, then I'll be pretty happy with that. We'll see what happens in this area here, 42.98. So when it comes down to the 4,300 level, if it breaks through there with some conviction, we'll see if this area here that was support. Now it's a short-term support. It's only an hour chart. If this, let's take a quick look here. Yeah, I like to see it break through this, and if it breaks through this, we got a nice little drop down to this area here, and we'll see how it does. If it breaks through here, then let me just mark off this area here. We're going to look into this area right here, see if price is getting held up at all, and then just below that is the my escape at 41.89. All right, so we'll check back in later and see what's occurred. Hey there, traders. This is Shane, just checking back in here with my Euro US dollar short trade. Had some alert come through. Thought I'd drop in on the market, take a look. Up 139 pips on this last position of my trade here. And I did say that if I get some basing and a drop from it, I was going to move my stop, and that's exactly what I'm about to do right now. I'm going to move my stop to 143.32, about 143.36. 143.36 is where I'm going to put my stop. Just move that now. 43.36. It's about that area right there. There's 30. Actually, I'm going to go right to 143.40. Just make it easier. And that's going to definitely lock in some profit right there. Some more. We're going to lock in about 100 pips on this move here. And ultimately, we'll see if we can get down to this trade, down to this target right here. We'll see how it all plays out. So, you know, what a great trade. I missed a short on the pound US. I didn't even have it set up, actually. And that's been dropping like a fly tonight, too, like flies. So we'll see what happens here. You know, we had this support level, turn resistance level. Resistance level, turn support level right about here, 143.24. And the market's busted through. Got a bit of a blip right here where we're kind of being held up. But you know what? I'm going to at least take about 100 extra pips off this trade, out of this trade, and you know, total trade on this would be about 205. So I'm quite happy with the way this all turned out. Just these levels here are kind of annoying more than anything. If breakthrough here, it'd be a nice little drop down. This is the 4-hour chart, and I moved my stop out. My profit target up a little bit on this trade. Originally it was I think it was down in here, but I just you know, after looking at the charts again, seeing this move here, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to grab it out here. It's a little extra, you know, I'm going to miss out on 64 pips, but it's just there's a lot to break through before it gets down there, and still it's pretty close to that area right there, right? This area here has a breakthrough here, and there's a big thrusting candle out of this area here when the price dropped in. We'll see, probably get a little bounce here anyhow, so just want to get out, and further down would have been a great area, but I'm going for this area right here. Take it and run. You know, actually, you know, it fits into the plan quite nicely. You know, it is trading into a support level, a demand level, right, where you clearly see the buyers totally outweigh the sellers here, especially when you can see this big move out kind of proves that point. So we'll see how it plays out later on. I don't know if we're going to get a drop of an extra 54 pips before I go to bed, but if we do, I'll sum this video up. All right. Thanks for checking it out. Hey there, traders. So the Euro US dollar trade is finally completed, and let me just walk you through a few things. You notice in one of the recordings of this trade earlier, I had marked off this area here, and you see on the 4-hour, I went down the 4-hour. One of the reasons why I marked that area off was when price was coming through here. If you look, it had this level here to break, which required a lot of selling. It had this level here to break, which required a lot of selling. And look at the size of this green candle here. It shows you that in this area there was a pretty decent amount of buyers. Okay, so the sellers obviously have to absorb any more buyers at this level. And you can see that price started getting hung up a little bit in this area, the basing area that I had spoke about, and ultimately had my stop moved up around this area right here. And then we come down through this area right here. You can see it's basing around these areas, so you know these areas, you know, there's some substance to them. That's why price is right here, and it's being held up here. It's clearly what happened is the sellers absorbed the buyers, and what you're going to see is I actually had my profit target moved up, and I moved it up here simply because it had to absorb all these sellers here, and then clearly a lot of sellers up here. Then we had a lot of these tails here where it showed a lot of buyers had come in, and you know, my ultimate target was down here. I did move it up to 34, I believe it was, and you know what? You can see what happened. You know, once again, price came down to this area, hung out for a little bit, in about an hour, and then what time is this at? You know, around 8 o'clock, just crashed right through. This is the area that I had marked off, and you see what happened. Basically, price came down this area, turned, and well, so it was a great area to pick. You know, these areas were decent areas. Let me just show you the area that the buy was set up. Sorry, the sell was set up at. It was here, and the issue here is we had a lot of these little. You know, this is where the price had rallied up to, and a bit of a basing. It dropped, base, and dropped again, and all the way down. You want to get this the sell out more on the outside, and we did have a move right here. This area just looked a lot prettier, and you see what happened here. It almost got touched here, retracted, and retraced. I guess it did kind of retract, didn't it, from that area? Basically came in here. So this trade actually took, you know, zero heat. You know, maybe a couple pips, and then just dropped. So, you know, supply, demand, support, resistance, whatever you want to call it. It really pays off quite well. And what's even better is the you know, risk reward is can be pretty decent here, and your position sizing can be pretty decent as well, simply because well, for example, this stop was about 20 odd pips. 20 odd pips. A lot of people use that for a day trade, and I was using this for a swing trade, and the risk reward was incredible. Basically, what I originally had was a 20 pip risk to 269 reward, which eventually came down to, but I got out around this area here, so 200 was the reward on this. How's that for a risk to reward? Not bad, huh? Not bad. And that's what's great about these kind of trades when you're using market structure. And I did talk about needing an area to put my stop on. Instead of just trailing it down like candle, I needed some price to base. And then once that was resolved to the downside, it just showed at that area there was more sellers. So in order to bust above that, it would need some strong buying power. This is what the daily chart looked like. I guess I can remove this now. Well, make sure I don't move the wrong thing. I'm clicking all over the place. I will leave that. And this is why, you know, price had come down here, and it came back up in this area where, you know, clearly there were a lot of sellers. You know, push it down this market almost 300 pips on this candle right here. Now we're coming to this area right here. Obviously, we've got a bit of a bounce going on as expected. You know, there's a lot of action in this area right here. So we'll see how that all plays out. So eventually, price did come down, and you know, I like to say that I kept my ultimate profit target down here where it should have been. I didn't, and the good thing is it was not an emotional decision to change that stop. It was based on price and what the market was doing. And even if I took this trade on a 4-hour chart, well, I wouldn't have had the setup. I would have had the setup a little bit higher, and actually even the upper one would have probably 44, 46, or 44.50, came down at 44.41, depending on how much I adjusted around that area. The entry price would have been right there, so this one would have been tipped in as well. So it didn't really matter if it was this area right here or in this area right here. I kind of geared up on this one, you know, 20 odd pip risk is there. So good trading. So in the 4-hour chart, we do see where the price had dropped into and then rallied strongly up after revisiting this area right here. So you know what, overall, I've got no problem with getting out where I did. I didn't get the full profit what I wanted, but you know, leave some on the table, right? There's always another day. So let's look at a few more things here. One sec. So what we're looking at is basically the screen cap of what happened. This is nice. Like, this is where the order was sitting, and you can see it just kind of got there and then dropped. These arrows are obviously the scale outs positions, and this is the final target. So you can see up here, my original take profit is at 41.90, and it actually was changed to 42.35. So you know what, you can't argue with this this kind of trading. And there is you know, it's not a science, right? There's some art involved in it, and some discretion, and but for me, it's a really interesting way to trade, and I just love the risk reward. I want to show you one thing though that's a bit of a problem, and it's, you've seen this in some of my other videos that I've shown where price just came so close to triggering in. I was going to drop over to the CAD, US dollar CAD. This kind of bothered me a little bit. I had a buy limit in on this market. Right through this area right here is what I wanted. And well, so my entry was here, and it came down within 5 or 6, 7 pips, and then rallied strong up 130 pips. And the stop on this trade is or was, I have to take this off. Well, you know, I'm going to leave it on actually, because price didn't get down to this level, so it's a pretty decent level. You know, 30 pip risk. And my ultimate target was up here at 144, 145. Now, the thing with this trade here is obviously you're going to want to scale out on these. And usually once I've got up 2 to 1, I'll generally take something off, take some money off this. And what's interesting about this as well, look what's happened. This was an area right here. Sorry, I'm going off topic right here. That had shown some support, broke through. Didn't act as much resistance in this area whatsoever. Just busted through. So perhaps if I was in this trade, I would have put my stop around this area here, because I need something, right? I just can't just throw it anywhere. So it would have locked in about 77 pips, but that's neither here nor there, because I'm not in this trade, and I like to say I was, but that's just not the way it works. Okay, so that's it. You know, the Euro US dollar trade worked out. You know, I walked you through everything. I showed you what I was thinking, what I was looking at the prices, what was going through my mind. And you know, for those that are interested in this, I really suggest that you really look strongly into price action trading and trading market structure to structure, because it does well. So overall, we are looking at this. We're looking at plus 57 on the first position. Second position was plus 93. Third position was a plus 203. Now the way I scaled out, basically 2 positions here, 1 here, and let the 1 ride. All right, so I took off basically half of the full position here, took off a quarter here of the full position, right, and then the final one was here. So a total of 353 pips. But here's the thing, and this is like a little tip as well. When you're looking at people's results and they're trying to hype something, and they say we made a total of 353 pips, well, you don't be looking at that and going, wow, if I traded one standard lot, this would be $3,500. Because a lot of times what they do, if they scale out, they'll give you this overall, but they won't break it down this way. So let's just say this trade averaged about 117 pips on a full position. Keep it simple. So basically it was an average of 117 pips. That's what it broke down to. So not bad, huh? Not a bad trade. Quite happy with that. Nothing set up yet. Nothing really on the go. And it is Thursday. I doubt I'll be entering anything before the weekend. And so that's it. So I hope you guys have picked up something from watching this video, this supply and demand video, support and resistance. Now, the reason I don't call them support and resistance is because people have different definitions of support and resistance. You know, some people would say this. They would say, well, you know, look, the Fibonacci had found support at 61.8. You know what I mean? So it just gets pretty vague. You look at it that way. So I just call it supply demand. All right, so that's that. And hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.